What's up, everyone? I am Keith Flemming. This is Fantasy Six Packs, 2 off the tee, golf gambling and DFS show. Ryan cannot make it tonight. I think he's big timing me now that he's got his very own podcast, The Inside Drive. You should go follow that uh, on Apple, Spotify, etc. But I did still want to get together because I know that there's plenty of degenerates out there like me who will be building lineups and, you know, filling out their betting card for the second leg of the PGA Tour FedEx Cup playoffs. Before we get into this week's event, just quickly got to touch on Tommy Fleetwood. Um, it's kind of sad at this point. I was like openly rooting for Fleetwood last week, despite not having him to win, having JJ Spawn to win on my betting card, and yet I still wanted Fleetwood to get that first win. And at this point, it kind of feels like Charlie Brown in the football. Just he can't get it done on Sunday, and it was some really shaky stuff down the stretch. The bogey on 17 was just awful. Perfect drive, 170 yards into the fairway, misses the fairway left. Not really that difficult of a chip. Hit a so-so chip, and one of the worst putts you'll ever see. And that was pretty much it. On the winning side of it, Justin Rose just continues to prove that, in my opinion, he made the right decision when it came to the PGA Tour Live, especially for legacy, because he's still winning a crap ton of money, maybe not as much as the guarantee that he got with Live, but he's racking up more and more PGA Tour wins. He's speaking that he's playing as well as he remembers at any point in his career. And that is a very scary thing if you're an American pulling for the U.S. in the Ryder Cup team, because a Justin Rose on Team Europe with confidence, not great. But again, it's going to be relatively quick show tonight, not only just because I'm solo and you can only hear so much of your voice, but also due to the fact only 50 players in the field. We're at Sage Valley this week, and for those that do not remember, we have not been at this venue since 2021. The only time the BMW Championship was held here. In that event, Patrick Cantley and Bryson DeChambeau finished the week 27 under par, and I believe it was a 5 or 6 hole playoff, eventually won by Patrick Cantley. You can't really look too much at that. That was 4 years ago. The venue has been had some work done to it in the time since 2021 to now. Another big factor was it was saturated and soaking wet when they played it in 2021. There is some rain in the forecast, but nothing close to what we saw in 2021. Ultimately, I think that means we will not see 27 under par. I do think you're going to see right around 18 to 22 under par win this week, so it's still going to be, without a doubt, a scorer's fest. But K Valley is a very interesting golf course. It's a par 70 that plays 7,500 yards. The fourth longest venue on the PGA Tour, at least of the venues that we see year in and year out. And again, it's a par 70 playing 7,500 yards. That is long. It does have some of the widest fairways on tour. It doesn't have really any issues off the tee. It's kind of your traditional parkland venue. You've got 6 par 4s that play 450 plus yards. You've got 3 of the 4 par 3s play 220 plus yards. 4 par 5s, which is unusual for a par 70 course. And then also 3 par 4s that are honestly drivable by the longest guys on tour. They're all 350 yards or less. Good chance they move up the tees. This is a venue that just, to me, screams distance, distance, distance off the tee. And then the other big thing, again, with all those par 4s of 450 plus, the par 3s of 220 plus, you got 4 par 5s, right? Where if you hit a good drive, you obviously have a chance to hit the green in 2. In 2021, 60% of the approaches came from 175 plus yards. So I don't want to oversimplify it this week, but I do want to oversimplify it, if that makes sense. And there was really two things that I looked at. The first is there's a group of, what is it, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 guys in this field that are top 20 in both driver distance and proximity of 175 plus yards. That, to me, is the end-all be-all stat this week because it says so much about what I'm looking for this week. Because I do think you need distance off the tee to compete here. It's a 7,500-yard par 70, and if you have 60% of the approaches in 2021 came from 175 plus yard, even say the numbers are down with it being a little less wet, if it's 45, 50%, that is still so much more than your average PGA Tour event. So those two stats are huge factors. And the 9 guys, just so you have the entire list, are Scheffler, Kurt Kitayama, Ryan Fox, Xander Schauffele, Ben Griffin, Robert McIntyre, Taylor Pendrith, Sam Stevens. The other thing that I looked at is just a combination of the stats that I had listed for, like my key stats. And there's a group of only 6 guys that are above average in the main categories I looked at this week. Tee to green, course comp history, and some of the course comps I looked at is like the Plantation course at Kapalua, Memorial Park Golf Club, TPC Craig Ranch, Detroit Golf Club. But tee to green, comp course history, driving distance again there, strokes gained approach, and then strokes gained putting on bent greens, which these are bent greens. And again, the list doesn't really surprise you. Xander, Scotty, Rory, not really a surprise. And then you also got Fitzpatrick, Corey Connors, and Robert McIntyre. So those two lists, honestly, is where a majority of my plays came from this week. When you're looking at the DFS side, and again, you know that I am cash guy, so I am not looking at multi-entries. These are just cash games. And for like the core of cash players, the biggest ones for me are obviously Scotty Scheffler, death taxes. Come on, we know the stick at this point. And Scotty Scheffler in cash, 13-4. I don't care if he's 24. I know Ted Scott's not going to be here this week. It doesn't matter. This dude's 13 straight top 8s. Best player in the world, a small field. And then on top of that, like, again, Scheffler is top 20 driving distance, top 20 proximity 175. He's above average in all those key stats this week. So that's just a slam dunk for me. Like, he's going to be in a majority of my lineup. The only other guy that I would substitute if I'm not going to play Scheffler, if you want to be contrarian, I really like Xander Schauffele this week. Xander, another guy that falls into both of those categories I'm looking at this week. He is also one of the players that's top 20 in driving distance, proximity 175 plus yards, and he's above average in all the key stats that I looked at this week. So I think Xander's flying under the radar. I think 10-5 is a really good price for DK. I'll go ahead and say, spoiler alert, the lowest odd bet that I have this week in terms of outright winner is Xander Schauffele at 18-1. I think that's a good deal. The other 3 guys that, again, are kind of part of this cash game core, I think you should have 2 or 3 of these in any cash game lineups you're doing. Ben Griffin, 9,100. Just a model of consistency. He just continues to just string together these top 15s over and over and over again. And again, that list I'm looking at, he's top 20 in driving distance, top 20 in proximity from 175. 9,100 feels like a really good value. And then there's 2 guys in the low 8K range. One of them, again, is actually on both of those lists. It's Robert McIntyre, top 20 in driving distance, top 20 in 175 plus yards proximity, and also above average in all those key stats. That's not a surprise. The one guy that kind of is a little bit outside of that model for me, at least in the core, is Eshe Biate, who is not in that top 20 driving distance, proximity 175, or the above average across the board. But what he is top 10 in the field in strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained approach. He's very good on approaches from 150 plus yards. And he's playing good. Like, I just think that Batia, you get him on these courses where it doesn't become a wedge fest, which sometimes, similar to Rory, can be a little sloppy with his wedges at times. I just think this is a really good venue for him, so I like that. The values this week for DFS, there's basically 3 guys in the 7K range I'm looking at. 2 of them, again, I'm just going to keep hammering this home, are part of that group of 9 guys that are top 20 in this field in driving distance and proximity of 175 plus yards, and that's Kurt Kitayama at 7,600, Taylor Pendrith at 7,200. I like Pendrith slightly more because he has really fared well this year at some of these comp courses, whether it be the Plantation Course, Memorial Park. Kitayama is a guy that's just playing really well. I mean, we know unbelievable ball striker, one of the best long iron players on tour, and the big thing for Kitayama is he's just like putting the eyes out right now, and when he does that, he has a lot of success. The other guy in this range is the other player out of basically all my DraftKings plays this week that does not fall into that category of top 20 in driving distance and proximity from 175 plus or being above average in all the key stats, and that's Harry Hall at 7,800. Another guy's just been on a tear. He has now finished top 30 in, I believe it's 11 straight events, 8 top 20s in that period. Again, he is not, a great player from 175 plus, but it doesn't matter because the dude makes so many birdies. Only Scotty Scheffler averages more birdies per round than Harry Hall this year. He excels in par 4 scoring, leading the tour right now in par 4 scoring. And again, you've got the par 4s, both the 3 short ones, the 6 long ones of 450 plus. So I do think Hall at 7,800 is a good value. And then if you're looking for cheap plays, and I think these two guys need to be in lineups, Sam Stevens, 6,500. Again, not to sound like a broken record, but top 20 in the field in driving distance, top 20 in the field in proximity from 175. And the same thing for Ryan Fox. And at 6,200, Ryan Fox is probably my most owned player this week because he hits it a mile off the tee. He obviously dominates par 5s, which is going to be big this week on a par 70. And he's top 20 in proximity of 175 plus yards. He's also one of the top players in the field in strokes gained approach overall. So I think Fox is an unbelievable value at 6,200. Stevens at 6,500. You put those two guys in the lineup, it is not difficult to then get Scotty Scheffler in there. The betting card, again, kind of similar to what I'm saying here on the DK plays. A lot of the same guys. I already mentioned Xander at 18-1, lowest odd bet to win outright. I don't like betting outrights with the way Scotty Scheffler's playing right now, and I'm interested to see what Rory does this week. Obviously, next week back at East Lake, where Rory has just dominated throughout his career. It's just going to be tough in a 50-man and a 30-man field for me to justify playing a lot of outright winners. But, again, these are guys that I mentioned. They're all in that either top 20 drive distance or proximity or that and above average in all the key stats. Kurt Kitayama at 4,500. Again, he's putting the lights out and just great long iron player. He can sometimes get a little squirrely off the tee. Not a big deal here. This is a wide open venue off the tee. Robert McIntyre, 50-1. Ashay Bhatia, 50-1. I think both of those are worth a bet. And then Taylor Pendrith at 65-1, I think has a real chance of winning this week. I just have a feeling that Taylor is going to play very well. He's done well, again, on these comp courses. The top 5 plays, I have a top 5 and top 10 play that I am betting way outside what I normally do, basically 5 times my normal bet. The top 5 is Scotty Scheffler at minus 225. I've messed up by not doing this more this season, if I'm being honest, because, again, Scheffler, 13 straight top 8 finishes. He's finished top 5, I believe, in 9 of those 13 starts. So why am I not doing more of this? I'm not sure, especially in a 50-man field on a venue that you would think everything that Scheffler is, so good at, which is playing these long golf courses. He's the best long iron player on the tour. So, like, these par 3s and these long par 4s are going to be no problem for him. I like that at minus 225. The top 10 play is Xander at plus 125. Again, I think this venue fits him very well. He's going to be able to bomb it off the tee. Doesn't have to worry about, hitting it super straight at this venue. So some of the other top 5 plays this week, I think that McIntyre, Kitayama, both at plus 650, great value. Again, I really like Ryan Fox this week and he is basically the highest odds guy on DraftKings Sportsbook. You can get him 12 to 1 to top 5, 5 to 1 to top 10, and plus 170 to top 20. I like all of those across the board. The other top 10 plays, again, I talked about Harry Hall and just all of his birdies. He's plus 280. Taylor Pendrift at plus 330. And then again, Sam Stevens, who I mentioned earlier, at plus 150 to top 20. I think those are all great values. So that's pretty much the rundown of this week. Do want to real quickly talk about the Fantasy Football Expo. I went for the first time this year with my lovely wife, Miss Brittany, and we had an amazing time. It was unreal just to see the community and just how friendly everybody in this fantasy football content creator space is to one another. We had an absolute amazing time, but the most fun we had was on Friday. Me and Nate Polvick, Nate Markham, and my girl Linda won the first annual Fantasy Football Expo Scramble, shooting 7 under. We were 1 over through 4, really turned it on, played the last 14, 8 under, total team effort. We had a freaking blast, really fun course up in Canton, Ohio, or maybe it was just outside of Canton. I'm not sure if it was in Canton, but Spring Valley Golf Course. Just a wonderful time. We want to thank again In Between Media for putting that on. But if you're out there and you've ever wanted to go as a content creator, or if you're just a fan of fantasy football in general, Fantasy Football Expo is awesome. Can't recommend it enough. But Ryan will be back with me next week. We'll be covering the Tour Championship. Sadly, after that, it's going to be a while before I'll be doing any golf content, as I will be transitioning into DFS football. We'll be doing cheat sheets similar to what I'm doing for golf for fantasy football and DFS this year. So be sure to look out for those. And again, if you are a member of Fantasy Six Packs Discord and Premium Service, if you use the code F6PPGA, 15% off. It's $8.50 a month. You can get all my cheat sheets. I have them up with all my DFS betting plays and also notes on why. And again, when we get into football, I'll do the same there. And then again, on the Discord, any of the guys that, or girls, excuse me, that create content for Fantasy Six Pack, you can just message us directly and ask. So again, I hate that, Ryan was not able to make it tonight, but I did want to do the show anyway because I'm a degenerate, and I know some of you guys are too. So why wouldn't we try to talk a little bit about K-Valley and this BMW Championship? Very interested to see what 30 players move on to the Tour Championship at Eastlake. And then remember, they changed the format to where there is no starting order anymore. This is just a straight up winner take all. And that is why Rory McIlroy skipped last week. And if I was Rory McIlroy, I might skip this week too. I mean, if you're going to set up the playoffs where as long as you're going to get to the third leg and you have an equal chance to win it, whether you're first going into that final, round at Eastlake or final tournament or 30th, why should he show up? Like, I don't think he has to do that. So I'm actually Team Rory there, but it's been a really fun year for golf. Wish J.J. Spahn would have been our 6th outright winner this year, but it is what it is. Hopefully one of the guys we gave this week can win for K-Valley. As always, you can hit me up on Twitter if you have any questions or whatever. Appreciate you guys listening to this. We'll see you soon.